Welcome into Sports Time on a Wednesday. Bryant and Brett with you for the next 3 hours, and a lot to get to as MLB postseason continues to roll right along. We got more college football tonight after 3 games last night, and obviously with NBA preseason, everything going on. Just a lot going on, but like I said, Bryant and Brett with you in our family leisure studios. Brett, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing very well, Brian. Good afternoon to you. Johnny Hill with us as well. And the Phillies crowd's just too much.
It's something else, Brett. It really is.
They really have brought it, haven't they? It is. I don't know a home field advantage like they've enjoyed over these last 2 years. Maybe since the Twins played in the Metrodome. And that was the catalyst for them winning it in 87 and 91, where you couldn't touch them there. The Phillies, the Philadelphia crowd and the Phillies fans have been that great.
Yeah, no, they've been really, really good. And I mean, I said it in the World Series. I remember that postseason crowd last year as well of just kind of, I mean, when you watch one game and then immediately goes to that next one, or you switch from game to game like we had to do in the wild card, and just to see one fan base versus that Philadelphia fan base, and there was just no match. I mean, it was just in a league of its own, and we're seeing them be a driving force, and with the power that the Phillies have shown during the playoffs, all of the home runs, just this home run parade we've seen from them this year. I mean, it's they're the betting favorite right now to win the World Series, and with that environment, with how they're hitting the ball, it's hard to bet against them.
And you never know when the bats go silent. If they just cool down a little bit, do they have enough pitching and then piece some hits together? Do they have to stay on this power surge?
Yeah, well, and that's the good question, and I think you look at, you know, Wheeler, Nola went last night, and Nola specifically is a guy that kind of had an up-and-down season in what he's done these last 3 games. I saw a number earlier today. He got the win last night after 6 shutout innings. In 3 starts, 18.2 innings this postseason, he's only given up 2 runs. So, I mean, you're talking about the bats on a different level, but you're also talking about the pitching being on a different level this playoffs. And now, like you said, what if one night you come out there and both pitching and hitting are off? Because I don't think we've seen a Phillies team, this Phillies team, play like this at all this season, just how red hot they are. So, I mean, that is a very interesting question to see, but right now they're rolling.
And Trey Turner right in the middle of it all. They're really, at the perfect time of the year, it's really coming together for them tonight back to the ALCS in Arlington, and the Rangers trying to gain full control of that one. But 1 week from tonight, Grizzlies get it going for real.
They do. It's almost here, and I'm excited for it. A home game against the Pelicans, right? I keep getting confused on who they open against, but
Pels?
Yeah, the Pels. And for some reason, I thought like a week or 2 ago it was against the Bucks for some reason, but no, against the Pelicans. A week away from today, and it's starting to heat up. I'm ready for some basketball, Brett.
They get the Bucks in final preseason game, don't they?
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's where my confusion landed. Brett, I
want to say I may even had it confused with the Bucks last week.
It is the Bucks in the last preseason game, so you're right. So that's probably where the confusion came. But I'll be honest. I was locked in the first couple of preseason games. I'm ready for the regular season now. Preseason, regular season, 2 very different things, and I'm ready to see some actual meaningful basketball.
So what'd you think of the long piece at ESPN.com today about Ja Morant? I would love listeners' thoughts on that. Text or call at 901-360-8255. It was long. I don't know how much was new. It was some detail in there, a lot of anonymity in there. You know, local business owners speaking. I mean, who is that? I mean, right. what business is it? Who is it? I mean, is it FedEx? I mean, they're a local business.
Hey, that's a good point.
Who's, and it said, a local restaurant owner, but who? I mean, what?
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah. I mean, what'd you think about it before I even think about what I thought about? What'd you think about it?
I'm going to expand more in my top story. I read every word. I read it twice, and it was long.
It was very long.
Locally, I don't know how much is new there.
Well, and that's almost the, I don't want to say problem I've had with the reaction is I don't know if that piece was written for a local audience. I mean that's why it was front piece of ESPN. And so for us, and me and Johnny were just having this conversation before, when I was reading it, it was like, we know this stuff, but does, Mike in LA know all of this? Does Damian in New York, does he know everything that's happened? I think that's why it was front page on ESPN. I thought some of it was interesting. I thought obviously a lot of leak sources and stuff like that, a lot of anonymous sources, but I thought that was interesting. Like you said about the local business owners, the local restaurant owner, I mean, I don't think that was needed in an ESPN article. The biggest problem I had with it is this weird connection that they tried to make, it seemed like, to Ja Morant's, this recent Ja Morant we've seen, and almost like the influence of rap music and the influence in rap lifestyle. I just thought that was very weird. They were like trying to include the music that the Grizzlies warm up to and the music that's played in the Grizzlies. And me and Johnny were talking, and Johnny was like, "That's every team. Every team listens to that type of music for the game." And then I think the last
it's every pregame around sport.
Everything.
That hip hop music was Saturday at Rhodes and Sewanee.
I love it. I love it. I mean, get you ready for a game. So I didn't like that connection. I just thought it was weird. I thought it was. I didn't think it was needed. They had one quote from either a restaurant owner or a business owner that said that he saw Ja Morant with the grill and the chains and told T that that was at the end of the story. Ja wanted to be more of a rapper than a basketball player. I don't understand that connection. I don't know why it was relevant. That was probably the biggest problem I had with the story.
And also the part about this anonymous person, almost this boogeyman. Who is this person out there with all these deep connections? And again, what business, what restaurant? Yeah. I mean. Is it a hot dog stand? I mean, what is it? and this person said, I've seen them come and go in Memphis. I've seen it all, and I've seen guys get in trouble. Who's been in trouble?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I understand using the.
Did I miss the part about Rudy Gay in trouble? I don't remember it.
Yeah, I mean,
Mike Conley.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
Zebo.
Yeah.
There wasn't. No. The Tony Allen legal problems came after his playing days.
Yeah, and so that's what I mean. Again,
Tony Allen was never arrested as a member of the Grizzlies.
No, he wasn't. But I mean, again, if you're going to do a story, especially a front page story on ESPN, I understand anonymous league sources. I understand anonymous team sources. I understand X person within the program. I do not understand local business owner, local restaurant owner. That's the part I was like, I don't see what that brings to the table. I guess, it's good to go around and obviously with some of the accusations, some of the stories we've gotten about Ja in kind of the local scene of being at places and maybe causing trouble, sure, but I just don't understand going to a restaurant that Ja Morant might frequent and ask the owner, hey, what do you think about Ja? Has he caused any problems in here?
And another thing that was a little off-putting was a lot off-putting was the small town country guy, country boy, come to the big city, and that Memphis itself turned him bad. I've said it a million times. How old is Ja now? 23, 24?
I think 24. Yeah, I think 24.
The biggest thing with this, regardless of where it is about $200 million dropped in your lap at 24.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wherever you are, that would be very difficult to manage and handle that level of stardom. But it almost the hue of that story almost that Memphis turned him bad, and then look, we care a lot about sports. It's our lives,
right.
And there's a lot of interest in sports. It's how we exist. But almost the fatalism of Memphis as a town is just so out of whack, and we're not able to we're almost not able to function because Ja's off the rails. I'm sorry, I don't encounter that in my life.
No,
and everybody I encounter wants to talk sports to me.
Yeah, no, I don't understand that part of it either, but you're right. It was long. It took a while to read, and I just think it's right around the basketball season, and ESPN knows that a story on Ja Morant's going to get a lot of clicks, and that's kind of what this was. It was just let's lay everything out of what's happened in this last 18 months, and so I don't think,
Do you go anywhere that people come up to you with that fatalism of, Bryant, town's over Ja's legal imbroglio?
No.
Do you get that from anybody?
No, not at all.
No, and that whole tenor of like this is some tipping point. Now it's the first time. It's the first time we've had a player with prominent legal issues.
Sure.
And a lot of that story was veiled with, there's been stuff in the past that just hadn't gotten out there. I hadn't heard about it, and why hadn't it gotten out there if everybody's supposed to know?
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. So I don't know.
Two newspapers, two radio, sports talk radio stations, ton of writers around, ton of
blogs and stuff,
people with takes and interest.
Yeah.
And it was all this veiled of, man, there's a lot going on in Memphis people need to know about. Well, how come we don't know about it?
Yeah, no, I don't know. There was some very, very little I liked about the piece. A lot that I wasn't a fan of the piece, but whatever. It's gonna happen, I guess. So
I would love to hear people's thoughts if they've read it. Yeah. If you hadn't, I would say go read it at 901-360-8255. Let us know what you think about it.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to hear people's opinions on it because it seems like it is something that a lot of people have been talking about today. Obviously, being that it dropped kind of first thing this morning, it seems like that is kind of, especially on social media, led most of the conversation here locally. I will say they did the team, a couple players, and Coach Taylor Jenkins met with the media earlier today, and they were asked about it. Taylor Jenkins said, I read the article, and I'm not going to comment on anonymous sources. I'm not really going to comment on the past. I'm really just focused on the present and the strides he is making, positive strides. Xavier Tillman also talked about the report and said it's really on the annoying side. Everybody knows about the situation, and we're all working to get past it. The fact that we are bringing it up and nothing else is going on is kind of like, what are we doing? Taylor Jenkins went on to say that he met with the entire team and with Ja Morant separately today and kind of just talked about everything, and he said that he just wants him to know that the team, everybody in that organization is 100% in support of him and his teammates, and so it sounds like they are taking this story very seriously, especially with Ja, and kind of obviously he's talked about after that situation kind of the stress and everything that he's going through mentally, and so I think for the team to kind of rally around him after that is definitely big.
It was so many direct and veiled references to anonymous sources, people that want to that didn't want to, their name on the record, wanted to stay on the record, and there are also a lot of references to in June. It sounds like a lot of the boots on the ground reporting locally was in June. Well, July, August, September, week before opening day. Wow, imagine that story
of course
comes out the week before opening day.
Shocking.
And back to June, I don't remember anybody around town. How ESPN's around town, really knocking on some doors trying to find things out. And again, to this restaurant owner that they keep referring to, it's almost like we only have one restaurant in town.
Yeah, because he was referenced 3 or 4 times in that story. Now again, very long story, but But you're right. It just seemed like it was that one person, and he had. I'd say I'm sure
Mr. Inside.
I'm sure they went to a handful of restaurants, and everyone said, "No, we'd rather not talk about that." And then they go to this one. He's like, "Sure, let's take a seat. Let's talk
Quote
about
machine.
it." Yeah,
Here we go.
Just started rattling it all off. So it was obviously the front page story on ESPN today. A lot of people are talking about it, but like you said,
and your jersey made news today. I love to see you in your Micah Parsons jersey. I think a few days later after the Cowboys beat.
Well, I had to find it. It was dirty. I had to wash it, but I don't want to come in here and stink up the whole studio. So
good for that. Micah Parsons thinks they're being mean to the Cowboys and not being critical enough of other teams. Hey, Micah, the Eagles went to the Super Bowl last year. Don't compare the Cowboys to the Eagles. And he's still Parsons won't let go of 49ers. We're going to get you next time.
Yeah, I mean, look, he talks a lot. He's talked a lot more in the last couple of days, couple of weeks, I should say, than I probably would like him to. And I heard Colin Cowherd before we came on, I think in the 1 o'clock hour, was talking about this whole story and how his podcast stuff. And Colin Cowherd, so funny. He goes, I should go buy his podcast. I have a podcast company. I could, which, look, I mean, as much as he's saying things that I think he should not be saying, kind of dumb, just let your play do the talking on the field.
His play is great.
It's quote machine. I mean, it's almost like Draymond Green. He's going the Draymond Green route where everything that happens on the field, he wants to talk about it. And that got Draymond Green a lot of publicity. So we'll see.
It did. But you know what Draymond Green also accomplished before he ever became renowned podcaster?
What's that?
Bunch of championships.
He did.
Let's try Michael Parsons playing in one first.
Yeah.
Great defense, best defensive player in the league, best player on what I think otherwise is a very average team.
Well, I would probably have to agree with you on that, but he is a great player. But let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. At 3:30, David Brandt from the AP in Phoenix will join us. We'll talk a lot of Arizona sports with him. Obviously, the D-backs in the NLCS. We've got to get to the Suns and with the upcoming NBA season. We've also got to talk about the Cardinals. And Brett, might have to slide a hockey question in there. I might have to ask about the Coyotes while we've got David. But a lot to get to with him is obviously a lot of excitement right now for the baseball team and this upcoming basketball season.
Where are the Coyotes playing this year? Are they still playing in Tempe?
They are. They're playing at Mullet Arena where Arizona State plays. So they're playing in a college.
Where Arizona State plays home basketball games?
No, where Arizona State plays hockey. At their hockey.
Arizona State plays hockey.
They do.
Hit the breaking news sound.
Yes, Arizona State has a hockey team, and they're actually pretty good. They're sharing Mullet Arena with Arizona State. So we'll talk a lot of Arizona.
Is that really the name of it?
Mullet Arena, yeah, it is. I promise you it is. And
Quinn Ewers have a statue in the lobby?
Unfortunately, I do not think he does. But I will say Arizona's first game, the Coyotes played in there, the giveaway that night was a bunch of mullets. And so everyone was wearing mullets for the first game. But we'll talk
Embrace
a lot of – yeah, really embrace it. We'll do that at 3:30. 3:45, we'll get to some more NBA talk. We'll also come back to this Grizzlies conversation, talk a little bit more Grizzlies with a week left before that regular season opener. 4 o'clock, David Cohn, as usual, on a Wednesday, will join us from Crane and Company to talk some college football. 4:30, we'll take an early look at the college football and NFL lines for the weekend. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Pat Smith from Jocks will join us. A massive Saturday in the state of Alabama. Memphis at UAB, third Saturday in October between Tennessee and Alabama, and then Ole Miss at Auburn. We'll talk a lot of football with Pat to start our 5 o'clock hour. 5:30, we'll get to what's trending, and at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Taco Bell Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're sitting in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. The Overstock sale is on at Family Leisure, and they need your help to clear out their overstock inventory. Select patio sets up to 50% off. Play gyms under $2,000. The extended sale pricing on all in-stock hot tubs and swim spas. The winter pool closing items up to 30% off. pool tables and game room items are up to $700 off on their in-stock items, and the saunas, massage chairs, arcades, theater seatings, all free deliver. Special financing is still available, so head over to Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
We are Sports Time. He's Bryant Dacus. I'm Brett Norsworthy, and Johnny Hill with us as well. And we want your feedback on any of the topics of the day at 901-360-8255. This hour brought to you every day by our sponsor. That's Lexus of Memphis, the one and only Lexus dealership in town at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. The 24s are rolling in. Great offers on the 24s and great offers always on the remaining 2023 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Call them at 901-334-9673. But stop by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2023 flagship LS500 or one of those beautiful brand-new 24s, and you'll be looking and driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and that makes for the luxury driving experience. The only Lexus dealership in town. You can go online at lexusofmemphis.com, but you can visit them at 2600 Ridgeway. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day is the story from ESPN on Ja Morant, chronicling his last 18 months. We've got a couple text messages in, and keep those text messages coming at 901-360-8255. It just helps the national narrative about Memphis. It's never positive. That's kind of going back to what you were saying about kind of that Memphis spin of that almost Memphis corrupted him, and that Memphis is this bad, evil place. Another text, sure hope Ja comes back with a massive chip on his shoulder. And that's kind of what it looks like. It looks like every video, everything you hear from Ja is that he has this chip on his shoulder. He wants to come back better, and he's taking this time off to get better both mentally and on the court. But it also seems like a lot of this is negative attention, Brett. This story is obviously brings up a lot of the past that, like Taylor Jenkins said, and Xavier Tillman both said, they're trying to get past the past. They're trying to talk about the present. They're trying to talk about the future. They're trying to focus on the future of Ja Morant and the future for that team. And for Ja Morant, you mentioned it, 24 years old right now, but a lot of this happened when he was 22, 23 years old, a kid that in their story they kind of opened by talking about this underrated, under-recruited kid with a chip on his shoulder, barely has any scholarship offers out of high school. He gets that shot at Murray State and then vaults up the draft boards and is taken second in the NBA draft. And I mean,
then Memphis turned him bad.
But when you have all of that success and then you get all of that money, that's a lot to handle. And for Ja mentally, anywhere for
in
anybody,
Sioux Falls, it's a lot of money.
And so for Ja Morant, we've seen that he's come out and said that there's a lot of stress. There's a lot that comes with it, and I'm sure there is. And so for him, I just hope that despite this big story, despite everything you're going to hear, not only this past offseason, but going forward, because this isn't going to be the last negative press we hear about Ja Morant and the Grizzlies. It's going to go on the entire season through this first 25 games, and then on after Ja Morant is back, you're going to be hearing about these past 18, past 20, past year for Ja Morant, and I just hope that mentally he's got his team, he's got that front office, he has his family, he has his friends all behind him, and that he can get through this and turn this kind of negative moment into a positive and to a great future here with the Memphis Grizzlies.
Mark my words, Bryant, before the day ends, but maybe before this segment ends, we'll get the text with this kind of tenor and tone. Man, y'all are so naive. Y'all don't really know what's going on out here. We really know. Well, then tell us.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Yeah.
An anonymous restaurant owner that almost like the grand poobah town that ESPN went to, put your name beside it. Mm-hmm. Put your name beside it and tell everything you know.
Yeah.
Obviously, they'll cover it. They covered you in anonymity. Put your name up there instead of, oh, man, you don't really know what's going on around town. Okay, well, we'll see, because I think I'm pretty plugged in. I'm sorry, I missed all the trouble Mark Gasol got in.
That's right.
Did you catch it?
Yeah, I missed it. It was swept under the rug, Brett.
My top story is that long ESPN deep dive into the Ja Morant saga. I don't know how much in it was new. A lot of it was unnamed sources from around town, but we know the story. We know it full well here, and we were shocked by the fall. We were shocked at some of the behavior, from zero red flags to this. I think most of it is the moving up in the tax bracket that he moved up into more than anything else, and I think that would affect a lot of us. It will either be one great redemption story or among the saddest wreck career stories ever. I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping for the good story. I think it was very dramatic about the business owner describing that the town's all but rocked, and we're kind of devastated by this, by the city, and we almost can't go on. I don't get that in any walk of life I'm around.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day is the MLB postseason. It's rolling right along. And the Phillies went up 2-0 over the D-backs last night as this series now shifts back to Arizona. And what a win for the Phillies. 10-0. I got to give Johnny Radio some credit because yesterday he said take the over in this game. I don't think he expected the over to get there by one team, but a 10-0 win for the Phillies over Arizona. Aaron Nola, I mentioned it earlier, he was awesome yet again. He's only allowed 2 runs in over 18.2 innings in 3 playoff starts this season. And now, with this success they've had at the plate, this home run parade we're seeing from this Phillies lineup, the Phillies have moved to favorites of the World Series, plus 120 right now in World Series winning bets. Rangers are right behind them at 130, obviously. Those two are going to be the favorites. Both those teams up 2-0 in their series. But now tonight, we'll see if the Rangers can go up 3-0. Max Scherzer on the mound for Rangers as he returns from an injury that cut his regular season a tad short, and we'll see what he can do tonight for that Rangers team.
My not top story, the Micah Parsons podcast comments. He should rename his podcast The Big Whine. It's a really bad look. And now he wants the media to be as mean to other teams and other quarterbacks as they are to Dak. It was this close. It was really close to T.O. saying, that's my quarterback. Don't criticize him. Don't be mean to Dak. It was really close to it. Very reminiscent of it. And Micah Parsons is wanting the media to put the Cowboys in the same sentence as the 49ers and the Eagles. You're not close to it. That's one of the Cowboys' biggest problems is they still think they're in that elite gilded class, and they're not. They've done nothing. Dak's done nothing. And I think it just makes him look like a big baby. Best player on an average team, best defensive player in the league, but the rest of that team is way too soft, and he appears to be.
Yeah, it's starting to look like that. But that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to our first break of the day. When we come back, we'll talk all things Arizona. We'll talk about the D-backs. We'll talk about the Suns. We'll talk about the Cardinals with David Brandt from the AP in Phoenix. That's next.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, folks. Bob Burkheimer, the Chevy Sheriff for Sunrise Chevy. The Sunrise Chevy Ranch has over 500 new vehicles available with interest low as 0% and rebates up to $4,000. A $10 million used car inventory specializing in late model GM certified and cars and trucks under $10,000. Bad credit, bankrupt, slow pay, it's okay. Sunrise gets you financed when no one else can. Check out the inventory and apply online at sunrisememphis.com or call us on the phone. Come in and see us, go online or call. Any way you do it, we'll save you money at the Sunrise Chevy Ranch, partner. 385 South Houston Levy in Collierville.
O'Reilly. It's Superstart Battery Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Get up to a $25 gift card after rebate with the purchase of select Superstart batteries. Our professional parts people will test your old battery for free and recommend the right battery for your vehicle. For power, performance, and reliability, choose Superstart batteries only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Pizza lovers and sports fanatics, Ferraro's Pizzeria is your Sunday ticket headquarters. Catch every pro game on multiple big screen TVs while enjoying $2 beers, $9 beer buckets, and mouth-watering pizza. We're talking the cheesiest, most delicious New York pizzas in town with all your favorite toppings. What are you waiting for? Grab your family and friends and get to Ferraro's, corner of Jackson and Main, just east of the Pyramid. Enjoy every pro game at Ferraro's Pizzeria and Cheesy Corner, your game day destination.
You've heard of James Gaddis Jewelers, but have you heard what they've done lately? Everything. A tremendous selection of diamonds and jewels, gold, silver, and much more. Lots of watches, tons of custom-made jewelry, fine gemstones, bracelets, necklaces, so many choices. Romantics will love the one-of-a-kind estate and vintage jewelry. James Gaddis has experts to help you with wedding and engagement rings, plus 2 repair experts for fine watches and jewelry. Layaway and financing available. James Gaddis Jewelers at 4900 Poplar.
If you want a deal, get to Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat on the Pike, because we've got Jeep Adventure Days and Ram Power Days still going strong. If you're looking to save up to $12,000 off a new ride, we Gossett covered. Right now, take your pick. 2023 Jeep Grand Cherokee L Summit 4-wheel drive or 2023 Jeep Gladiator Rubicon 4x4, $12,000 off MSRP. And 2023 Wagoneer L Series 111 4x4, $10,000 off MSRP. And if we don't have what you're looking for, Gossett can order it today. So drive past the rest and come to the best at Gossett on the Pike, or shop online at GossettMotorCars.net.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Wagoneer PS5 64,158, MSRP 117,430. Cherokee P8876, 88.9, MSRP 80,205. Gladiator PL 509, 834, MSRP 68,815. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695 excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you, and joining us now from the AP in Phoenix, David Brandt, to talk all things Arizona sports. And David, thanks so much for joining us. I want to start with the Diamondbacks. Obviously, a really impressive run. Now down 2-0 as this series shifts to Arizona. I remember we had you on earlier in the baseball season. I don't remember. I think it was closer to the start of the baseball season. I was asking you about this team, what you had thought about this team, and you talked about how fun they were to watch, and some of these young guys, Corbin Carroll, obviously kind of the biggest one, and just how fun it was to watch him. What have you made of this season for the D-backs, and what was the excitement like around the city, around the state, when this team made that playoff berth?
Well, it's been huge for the franchise. I think they've taken a couple steps forward that maybe they didn't even expect to take this year by winning a couple series, in the playoffs. So, the Game 3 against the Dodgers here at Chase was, a sold-out crowd of 48,000, and that hasn't happened for a long time. The Diamondbacks hadn't been in the playoffs since 2017, really went through some lean years. So, obviously everybody was really excited here and everything. So obviously it took a turn for the worse in Philadelphia, but they get a chance to come back now and see if they can make this a series.
David, I don't know if you could take an all-star team into Philly with that crowd. I bet last night when it was wheels up for the Diamondbacks, get us out of here and get us home.
Yeah, they really had not faced a ton of adversity in the postseason yet. They were 5-0 coming into this NLCS, and they faced some adversity in Philadelphia. You talked about the crowd's really good, and that lineup's just hot right now. They've got a lot of home run hitters in Schwarber and Trey Turner and Bryce Harper and Castellanos, and it's just a tough lineup to navigate. And, you kind of combine that lineup with a great home crowd, and obviously, the Diamondbacks got roughed up a little bit, so we'll see how it goes. But they need to turn it around in a hurry.
I mentioned Corbin Carroll a second ago, and it looks like he'll be the Rookie of the Year in the NL. What have you made of this season for him? Obviously, we've kind of seen a lot of it, but you being there have seen a lot more of it, both on and off the field, of just kind of him being a rookie, coming into this clubhouse, and really kind of turning into the star of this team. Yeah,
it was, Mike Hazen, the general manager, gave him a $111 million contract before the season started, which for a guy who had played just 32 games in the big leagues. So, and Arizona's not really a franchise. Yeah, it's not necessarily a small market franchise, but it's not the Yankees or the Dodgers either. So to throw that kind of money around just told you how much they thought of Corbin Carroll. And so far they look like geniuses because, I kind of liken it to what the Atlanta Braves did a few years ago, locking up Ozzie Albies and Ronald Acuna to early contracts when they were younger and getting a little bit of a deal on it. So, Corbin just looks like he's been in the big leagues for 5 or 6 years. He's only about 5'10", 170 pounds, but hits with a lot of power, plays with a lot of confidence, obviously stole 54 bases. Plays good defense. His teammates love him. He's a really soft-spoken guy. So, there's nothing bad to say about him, and he's backed up all of the hype coming into the season for sure.
David, does it seem inevitable, or do the Diamondbacks think they have a puncher's chance swinging it back home?
Well, I mean, it's not over till it's over, but the Diamondbacks are running a rookie out there, Brandon Pfaadt, for Game 3, and he gave up a lot of homers in the regular season, and that's not a good mix against the Phillies. So we'll see how it goes. Obviously, the D-backs have their backs against the wall, but, a team that just swept the 100-win Dodgers, I'm sure they're capable of, if they're playing well, to come back. So it's a tall task. This Phillies team's about, to eliminate the Braves like they did. And then those first 2 games, it's just a tough task right now.
And all that experience they've gotten over these last 2 years. They went deep into the World Series last year, and it really seems like it feels inevitable for them to maybe win it. I don't know who could mow that lineup down.
Yeah, if the Rangers are obviously playing well right now, I think those 2 teams are really similar in that they're just super deep lineups. The Rangers have Seager and Simeon, and even if the Astros rally, they've got obviously some guys who have done it before and won the World Series last year. So I think the Phillies right now are absolutely the favorite. I think one underrated aspect about them is Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler at the top of that rotation. Mm-hmm. They were just okay during the regular season, but they're both workhorses, and they've both been in big games, and they've pitched in big moments. Nothing's going to scare them, and they've looked really good so far in the postseason. And so when you combine that lineup with 2 or 3 pitchers that are pretty much locked down when they go out there, that's a really good recipe to go far in the playoffs.
David, I would imagine it would be hard until they won it again to top not only beating the Yankees, but getting to Mariano Rivera to do it in 2001. But knocking the Dodgers out, was that second biggest baseball moment in that franchise's history?
Yeah, probably so. I mean, obviously winning the World Series is as good as it gets. But here, L.A. beat L.A. You probably heard the chants when you were listening to the game on TV and everything. It's a natural rivalry. It's kind of like Boston and New York. Like everybody here on the West Coast loves to beat up on LA when they can. And certainly the Dodgers have been really the franchise everybody's been chasing in the NL West for a solid 10 to 15 years. So for the Diamondbacks to knock them off and sweep them, no less, I think that shows what a up-and-coming franchise it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking to David Brandt from the AP in Phoenix. Today, the news, Kyler Murray back to practice after starting the season on the IL. I think Budda Baker also back to practice today. Cardinals, a 1-5 start. Where do they go from here with it looking like Kyler Murray ramping back up?
Well, honestly, this season was kind of in a holding pattern until Kyler came back, because really that's your franchise. That's the future.
Absolutely.
No disrespect to Josh Dobbs, who really, actually, especially the first 3 or 4 weeks, played pretty well.
Absolutely.
But a new coach, John Gannon, new coordinators, Drew Petzig and Nick Rollis, they really want to see what they've got with Kyler Murray on the field to see what he can do with this offense. I mean, Josh Dobbs has done a nice job, and so you would think if Josh Dobbs could do a good job, Kyler Murray can certainly do probably a pretty good job too. So we're still probably a few weeks away from him making his debut. I think they've got 21 days to activate him, so I don't expect to see him this Sunday. But certainly the rebuild kind of begins in earnest when the Cardinals can see what they've got with Murray and how he meshes with this franchise.
So he definitely he plays this year.
I mean, unless he has some sort of setback, I think it's inevitable at this point. I mean, he was out. I was there this morning. He was out on the practice field moving around really well. Looks good. It's been about 10 months since that ACL injury. So, like I said, they've got 3 weeks to activate him. They may take that whole 3 weeks. This may be more like week 10 before he comes back instead of week 8. But yeah, I think unless there's some sort of setback, he's playing.
I would imagine for a lot of fans out there in the Valley of the Sun, knock out the Dodgers and beat the Cowboys, kind of, okay, we're fine. Whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, I mean, you always it's always what have you done for me lately? But that Cowboys win was a really nice win, and it kind of showed.
Sure was.
I think the most encouraging thing about the Cardinals so far is that all the things that plagued them during the Kingsbury era, false starts, couldn't get in and out of the huddle, just generally kind of looked sloppy. Like, the Cardinals haven't looked sloppy during these 5 or 6 weeks. They're not very good because they don't have very good players in a lot of positions. But it's a well-coached team that looks like it knows what they're doing. They just don't have much of a margin for error right now. So they've stockpiled draft picks for next year. Kyler Murray's coming back. I think this is a franchise that hopes to be on the upswing here pretty soon. And I think the early returns, even with the 1-5 record, have been pretty encouraging that Jonathan Gannon knows what he's doing.
And, David, you said it. What have you done for me lately? It leads perfectly to the next league and the next team we're going to talk about, the NBA and the Phoenix Suns in the Western Conference. A lot of people picking the Suns to emerge as the 1 seed out of the West. They've won a lot of games, but still, leave some disappointed and starting with a new coach.
Yeah, it's been incredible just watching this franchise just have almost a total teardown and rebuild since 2021 when they made the NBA Finals. Devin Booker is the only player on the roster left from that team 2.5 years ago. It wasn't even very long ago. So obviously they got the big three: Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant. If they stay healthy through most of the season, at least, I think the Suns have just as good of a chance as anybody. But it's kind of, they also they made that trade with DeAndre Ayton to the Blazers. They got Yusuf Nurkic, which I think, even though Ayton is a better overall player, I think Nurkic might be a better fit in some ways, because I think that with Ayton, the whole focus was going to be like, how's he going to get his touches? He's the fourth superstar of this team. And Nurkic, they don't have to worry about that. So I think Ayton can go to the Blazers, be a star over there, and then the Suns can kind of go with what they have. And I think that's a pretty good trio to start with.
David, last thing for you on the Suns. Everyone talks about the stars. Everyone talks about their starting lineup that they're going to roll out there. I remember we had you on the opening day of NBA free agency, and in that first 10 minutes, the Suns went out and signed 3 or 4 guys to kind of solidify that bench. What do you make of this bench unit and some of those guys that are going to come off the bench for Phoenix this year?
Well, I think they've got enough guys. They stockpiled enough talent that I think they can find 4 or 5 workable pieces. Right. They've got some really good guards with Eric Gordon and Grayson Allen. You guys know about him, guys who could really shoot. Drew Eubanks as a backup big who's kind of come along with the Spurs and the Blazers the last couple years. Ketta Bates-Diop, Yuta Watanabe. There's several guys, Jordan Goodwin, who came over with Beal in the trade from the Wizards. I think they've got enough pieces to make this work. But I also think there's probably going to be some growing pains. I mean, basically, when you've got nearly an entirely new roster outside of, Booker, Okogie, Durant was here for a while last year. I mean, and a new coach with Frank Vogel. I think there might be, I wouldn't be shocked to see the first 20 games, the Suns kind of look unspectacular and people scratching their head. But I think, the big deal for them is obviously figuring it out by March and April, and I think they can do that.
Well, I'm really excited for the start of the NBA season. I know a lot of people in Phoenix are excited to see that group together in a regular season game. But, David, thanks so much for joining us, and let's do this again soon.
Absolutely, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks, David.
Thank you, David.
David Brandt from the
Brian,
AP. Go ahead.
That big three for Phoenix.
Oh, yeah.
Is there a better big three in the league?
No, I can't think of one. No,
that's some firepower.
It is. It is some firepower, and we'll see.
And I wouldn't be at all surprised if David's right in that first 20. Get out there 12-8, 11-9, 10-10, something like that. But by the end of the year, their win number, it'll be a 5 starting it.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. I know a lot of people, you talked about Micah Parsons earlier in his podcast and stuff. Well, we know Kevin Durant in his Twitter fingers. He likes to go onto Twitter and Instagram and respond to comments and stuff like that. And I think somebody posted after the first preseason game they all played together and said, this team looks awful. These guys look awful together. And Kevin Durant was under there like, first off, it's a preseason game. Second off, it's the first time all of us have played together in like an actual game. So,
that's true.
Yeah, and so we'll see what this team looks
relax.
like. Yeah, I think this is going to be a really good team, especially when we get to close to postseason play. So it will be fun. But David Brandt joining us from the AP in Phoenix to talk a lot of things going on in Phoenix. Obviously, a market with a lot of professional teams, and two of them, one that has a lot of expectations this year in the NBA. The other had a great season in Major League Baseball. But let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk a little more NBA with the season only a week away. That's next on Sportstime.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Roofs, and more roofs. Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair simply because they don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance claims for policyholders each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. Call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates, consultation, and claim repairs. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, diagnosing problems, and estimating is second to none, commercial and residential. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. All you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and Mulehide with labor warranties up to 50 years on all of our jobs. Metro Builders provides roof repairs across the Mid-South. Call Metro Builders to schedule your inspection free. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
After a big dinner, my nighttime heartburn would keep me up. I'd be taking antacid after antacid all night long. But then I tried Prilosec OTC. Just one pill a day blocks my frequent heartburn for a full 24 hours, giving me one-and-done heartburn relief. Without heartburn keeping me up, I could have a restful night's sleep.
Prilosec OTC. One pill a day, 24 hours, zero heartburn. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
Hey, Mid-South, you looking for a new ride that'll save you some big bucks? We got it at Gossett Kia on the Pike. A new ride that boosts 41 mpg highway and 2023 Kia Forte LXS. $229 a month, $29.99 to its signing. How about 2023 Nero EV Wind SUV? 253 miles of EPA estimated range, $269 a month, $49.99 to its signing. And 2023 Kia EV6 Wind. Get up to 134 city, 101 highway MPGE, $399 a month, $49.99 to its signing. Plus a free charger with your EV purchase. All 36-month leases and Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Ask for Bobby J. He's ready to put you in a new Kia today. Gossett Kia 1900 Covington Pike or online KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 36-month lease, $650 acquisition fee, Forte PE 678 6055, MSRP 21610, Nero P5017859, MSRP 41090, EV6 P5017859, MSRP 49687. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 10/31/23 with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
Worn out tires are a safety hazard. TireRack.com reminds you to inspect your tires regularly. Grab a quarter, stick it in the tread. If you can see the top of Washington's head, it's time to replace. Go to TireRack.com/Colin, use the Tire Decision Guide to get a personalized tire recommendation. Choose from the full line of Pirelli tires and tread confidently. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
It doesn't matter if you're at the lake, if you're hunting, fishing, playing golf, or just playing around, Scooters Plus can hook you up with the mobility that you need. Scooters Plus has the largest vehicle and parts inventory in the Mid-South and the best service department. You can choose from ATVs, UTVs, golf carts, motorcycles, dirt bikes, trikes, scooters, and even electric bikes. Come in today to start or wrap up your holiday shopping with 25% down on Christmas layaways. Scooters Plus, 3425 Summer Avenue. Call Sam at 458-8843 or go online to scootersplus.us.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett in our Family Leisure studios, and we just got done talking about the Suns. We talked about Ja Morant in that story from ESPN earlier this morning. But another big headline today, James Harden was a no-show at practice today for the 76ers, and it sounds like they had a meeting. He met with the front office, people within the organization this weekend, talking about kind of the future of him. He hasn't been seen at preseason games. He told the media that he could make his preseason debut on Friday in the final preseason game, but now, after not showing up to practice today, the front office said that they are going to give him an opportunity to explain his absence before they hand down a punishment. But it's still not looking good for James Harden with the 76ers. I don't think anybody thought this was just going to be smoothed over and we were going to get to the season and be all fine and happy. But it still looks like he's upset. It still sounds like the 76ers and Clippers continue conversations about a trade. But with a week away, I don't know what a week from now looks like with the 76ers and James Harden.
And there's no deal happening in the next week. If he's going to play next week and get, a game check, it's going to be as a member of the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would be shocked if we had a deal before then. And I just
who's knocking the door down to get him right now? Now, around deadline time, and you see what an injury does or how a veteran player like that can help you in the postseason, his marketability will go up. But right now, he has no leverage.
No, he has zero leverage. And I mean, the only team that is going to be knocking down any door, and they're not knocking down any doors, is going to be the Clippers. And so I just, if the Clippers, they can kind of just sit there and really the 76ers have no leverage in this because James Harden has said, I only want to go to L.A. If I am not in L.A., I am not going to be happy. And we have seen what has happened with him in the past when he's not happy. And so it's not like Damian Lillard where we haven't seen kind of a history of him being upset with a franchise for one reason or the other, and he goes out and demands a trade to someplace. We know that if James Harden is traded to a different team, it could get ugly. And so the 76ers have no leverage. James Harden has no leverage. And so who knows what happens.
Yeah, and I don't think he will destabilize the 76ers locker room, their chemistry, because they have enough people that he just won't show up, and if you don't do that, you don't get paid.
That's true. And it's just a weird situation. I mean, ever since he signed his extension and that news was kind of thrown out there that he was going to go back to the 76ers, and then immediately, like 2 days later, it was, well, they're going to trade him. And then, I mean, that was beginning of summer, and now we're still talking about it a week before the season.
When do we get final cuts, final roster announcements?
The 20th, I think. 20th or 21st, I believe. So a couple
That's
days
Friday
from
and
now.
Saturday.
Yeah, it's one of those days. Maybe Saturday. I think it is Saturday.
Do you think there will be a controversial cut for the Grizzlies? Who would be? Oh, he didn't make the roster. That would surprise you.
I don't see anybody getting cut.
I don't
be a
either.
surprise. I think they have who are their guys. I think everybody knows who their guys are, and for some of those young guys, I don't see any cuttings that would shock anybody really.
Were you surprised Kendrick Davis was cut by Golden State?
No, not at all. I mean, unfortunate. I love Kendrick as a player, but it didn't shock me in the slightest. I mean, he was a guy undrafted.
I'm certain I heard this, and it was either 6 foot or 6'1", that there was not a single player in the league last year under 6 foot or 6'1". It's just not a place.
It's not.
I mean, for the smaller player has no role anymore in this league, and I think that hurts Kendrick Davis as much as anything. You can list him whatever you want to list him as. He's about 5'8".
Yeah, no, that hurts a lot. And I believe I would have to go check. I'm pretty sure he signed an Exhibit 10 with Golden State, which would mean he gets a pretty nice bonus if he signs with the G League team. So there's obviously that opportunity for him to play in the G League. He could obviously go overseas and probably make a name for himself, because the type of player he is, size or not, he has shown that he is a dominant point guard.
Will Lester Quinones be on their opening night roster?
That's a good question. I'll say no, but I think eventually could. I would be.
He's really waited it out.
Yeah, I do not know the roster situation for Golden State right now, and you know what the depth looks like and stuff. But just kind of, I don't think so. Kind of seeing some of how he's done preseason, the minutes he's gotten in preseason, I'd probably be surprised if he was on their opening day roster. But Brett, we're only a couple days away from getting all of these answers and really being able to finalize what a lot of these teams are going to look like, and for some of these two-way guys, if they'll start the year with that team or if they'll start with a G League. And then a week away, we'll be at FedEx Forum talking about the Grizzlies and getting ready to see another start to a Grizzly season. It's going to get here fast. But that'll do it for our first hour. Let's get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk college football with David Cohn.
Bartlett Small Engine has been serving quality power equipment since 1970. They have a full line of power equipment, parts, and services for most makes and models. Bartlett Small Engines has the best brands in the power tool industry, and they're all American made. Bartlett Small Engine is your can-do store. 6780 Summer Avenue. Call 901-386-9779.
Bartlett Small Engine has free pickup and delivery both at your home and curbside for lawnmowers, blowers, edgers, and any small engine. Call 901-386-9779.
Looking for your next car? Give Car Corner a try. Car Corner, located at 2653 Mount Moriah. They specialize in cars under $15,000. Bad credit? No problem at Car Corner. CarCornerMemphis.com. That's CarCornerMemphis.com. They even have cash cars under $7,000. That's Car Corner at 2653 Mount Moriah. CarCornerMemphis.com. Look for the building with the teal green roof.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? Well, we have you covered at Humdinger's. It's quick and it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. With many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger's, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
Hi, it's the Herd. It's still October, but the holidays are coming fast. Before your life goes into overdrive, protect your home with Simply Safe Home Security. You can get a brand new system today for 40% off. Simply Safe is comprehensive protection for the whole home with sensors that detect break-ins, fires, and floods. For a limited time, save 40% on any new system with a Fast Protect plan. Visit simplysafecolin.com. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
At Sissy's Log Cabin, you'll find only spectacular natural diamonds that will remain treasured for generations. That promise is now symbolized by the engraved Sissy signature and sapphire, representing our guarantee of extraordinary service, selection, experience, and quality. Stop by any of our stores or visit sissyslogcabin.com and experience the Sissy's promise for yourself. Find a jeweler for a lifetime, only at Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Go where the season takes you, and it'll take you to huge savings at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. Be packed with power in 2024 Mitsubishi Mirage G4. 37 MPG combined, $18,755 or $199 a month. Ready for adventure? 2023 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport, $25,595 or $299 a month. Plus 7 seating and top safety pick 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander SUV, $32,185 or $399 a month. And every new Gossett Mitsubishi is equipped with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. You want it, we Gossett. Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, or 24/7 at MemphisMitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we Gossett at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 84 months, 500 military rebate, loyalty, conquest rebate, 500 G4, RHFO 1918, MSRP 19255, Sport, PU 015-137, MSRP 26595, Outlander RZ 006545, MSRP 33185, includes all rebates and incentives, PF 695, excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month with approved credit, dealer stock only.
Sports 56 Traffic.
Good afternoon. It's been slow going in Midtown for the last hour and a half or so from a car fire we had earlier on 240 northbound up by Lamar, trying to improve through there just in time for rush hour traffic to get heavy coming southbound on 240 from Union down to Norris. As traffic also picks up out here on 240 getting onto 385 Billmores Parkway. That still looks like a clear shot right now on 385 out towards Collierville. If you get hurt in a car crash, call 901 Attorneys right here in Memphis. Check out their website at 901attorneys.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
College football talk as David Cohn, the co-host of Crane & Company with Jake Crane, joins Bryant, Brett, and Jay Morgan, a college quarterback at Michigan, a tall man that's on Twitter at David Adam Cohn. Here's David with Bryant and Brett.
David Cohn joins us now to talk college football, the co-host of Crane & Company. David, thanks so much for joining us, and another week of really exciting college football, and this weekend sets up to be another weekend just like it. I do want to start off with maybe the biggest game of the weekend. It was College Game Day over on the West Coast, Washington versus Oregon. What have you made of Oregon this season, that win of Washington this season, and that win over Oregon?
Man, what a fantastic football game, and as always, thanks again for having me, guys. Yeah, I soaked up every play of that game. I was watching it with my father, and, full disclosure, I have friends over there on the Washington staff, my buddy Nick Sheridan, who I played quarterback with at Michigan, the tight ends coach out there, and, I've been a Michael Penix Jr. fan for quite some years now. I know he's been battling through some of those injuries, and he transferred from Indiana. So to see what he did last year when he led the nation in passing yards, I was like, hey, look at this. This is awesome. This is what he's capable of when he's healthy. So I was really looking in the offseason at the moves that Washington was going to make. Are they going to be good enough on defense, and can they run the ball well enough to make a legitimate run at the Pac-12 championship? And based on the research I did, I had them winning the conference, and I put them in my college football playoff preseason, with obviously circling this game at home against Oregon. And then as the first 5 or 6 weeks played out, I thought, you know what? Washington is very impressive, but Oregon is the most balanced team in this conference. The way that they're able to run the ball, control the clock, combined with also having one of those, sixth-year guys themselves in Bo Nix.
Yeah.
So Oregon's been very, very impressive. So I knew that this was going to be a field goal game. So the second I saw an opportunity to get, Oregon at plus 3.5, I was like, let's jump on that. But I do think Washington will win the football game. And that's exactly how it played out. And Oregon had their chances. I mean, Dan Lanning 0 for 3 there on the fourth down calls, and not punting it there at the end of the game. Like, we can talk about all those decisions ad nauseum, but one thing you have to say is he is who he is, right? He was aggressive throughout, even going for a 2-point conversion on the very first touchdown that Oregon scored. I still think Oregon is very much in this thing, guys. They're a very, very good football team. They're a physical football team. They lost a close game on the road against another really good football team. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a rematch in the conference championship there, kind of like we might get one with Texas and Oklahoma in the Big 12, and when you find yourselves in the big game, it could go either way.
We're going to get a lot of rematches, I think, David, in these conference championship games. We could really go around college football and every conference be a rematch.
Yeah, well, we're not going to get.
Well, Big Ten can. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
The Big Ten and the SEC both with still divisions, and then the ACC is very interesting because last week we were having this conversation of, man, could these three undefeated ACC teams all run the table, and then what's going to happen? Are we going to have a Waffle House coin flip to see who gets left out? But ultimately Louisville dropped the ball there. Big win by Pitt. So we won't have that specific scenario in the ACC. But yes, I mean, you're exactly right. If we got an Oregon-Washington rematch in the conference championship game, I think it's going to be every bit the game that we just got up there in Washington. And if we get a Texas-Oklahoma rematch, again, both of those, remember, in both of those scenarios, Oregon and Texas, they were winning those football games at the very end, and the other teams had to come from behind. So we could be sitting here with a very different landscape, but this is what we have, and I think it's going to play out very interesting down the stretch as to how many unbeatens will be remaining, how many one-loss teams do we have, and then this whole SEC situation. Obviously, I know we're probably going to talk about the Brock Bowers injury at Georgia. Can they still run the table? What's going to happen in the West? Everyone keeping their eye on the LSU-Alabama matchup to come, getting more and more fascinating by the week, fellas.
It sure is. In that Pac-12 championship game, remember, on championship weekend, that will be a Friday night game on ABC, and the TV numbers this year have already been really big. And there's a couple of different scenarios for rematches in that one. You mentioned Washington. You had them in the preseason. Right now, who would be your college football four? No certain order. Just who do you think are the four best teams?
Well, look, obviously, I'm partial when I go with Michigan, but I do think that they have an incredible football team up there, and I would love nothing more than to see them get another crack. Back-to-back disappointing years in the college football playoff, and combined with the fact that they will get their biggest rival, OSU, at home. Obviously, we're going to find out a lot more about them and Penn State this weekend with that big matchup that's coming, and obviously both of those teams will have to play Michigan. I had Georgia in their preseason, and I felt good about putting Georgia back in there again because they were doing this thing where they were sort of getting better each week. I do think that Brock Bowers' injury is significant. Let's see how that plays out. I had LSU beating them in the conference championship game. I had reservations about that pick after I saw the way LSU was playing defense down the stretch, but somehow they've been able to sort of offset that with this, very explosive offense and still find themselves in the mix. I'm waiting to see if Florida State sort of is having these really great moments where you're like, wow, that's what a championship team looks like. And then they'll have these moments where it's like, no, they leave something to be desired. But, given the conference they play in, I think a head-to-head matchup against North Carolina, and I really like Mac Brown, I really like Drake May, I think I would give the benefit of the doubt to Florida State. And then, look, I still like this Washington team, especially getting over that hump with the big win over Oregon. Again, I think it'd be a coin flip if that was a rematch in the conference championship. And let's don't forget, we got USC and Utah this weekend, two one-loss teams, and Oregon State's still out there. A lot of teams to play spoiler. The Pac-12 has been very impressive so far. But one way or another, the four teams that we're going to get into this college football playoff are going to be very worthy. And I can't wait to see how it plays out.
Well, talking about Washington and Michael Penix, you talked about how much you love his game. It looks like he's now the betting favorite for the Heisman Trophy. Is he your pick right now through this far into the season for Heisman? And who are some other guys, in your opinion, that have a shot at winning the Heisman this year?
In my experience with following this, I think we're a little bit premature, and I said this on the Crane and Company either this morning or yesterday morning. Really until it gets to be about Halloween week or right in until November, I think these conversations are a bit futile. They're fun for us, obviously, and of course, hey, Vegas isn't wrong a whole lot. So Michael Penix Jr., the way he's been playing, the yardage he's put up, plus he has last year to sort of establish that brand from the get-go, right? Like that's an important thing. Obviously, like he would be someone to go with. But guys, just never forget. It's just a couple seasons ago, Matt Corral at this point was the betting favorite for the Heisman Trophy, and a couple weeks go by as we get into the teeth of these conference schedules. All of a sudden, the guy who was the surefire number one isn't there anymore, right? Like last week, we were talking about Caleb Williams. He throws 3 interceptions on the road in South Bend. How's it going to play out in these big rivalry games? You look at, we were talking about Michigan a minute ago. I look at a team like that where J.J. McCarthy, to me, is every bit the quarterback some of these other guys are, and Blake Corum could be the best running back in the country, possibly for 2 seasons in a row. But these guys aren't playing halfway through the third quarter, right? And a lot of that has to do with this schedule that's been played at Michigan. So they haven't gotten an opportunity to really put up the stats and the yardage and all that kind of stuff. Will that be offset when it comes time to go on the road to play Penn State, to play the Buckeyes at home? Can Quinn Ewers sort of shake off that loss to Oklahoma, put up big numbers down the stretch, maybe find themselves in the college football playoff, and he reemerges? And then with Michael Penix Jr. too, I never want to bring this up, but the fact that he has had a couple ACLs and he's been injured, the best thing for him is he's got to stay healthy if you want to win that award. Remember, I had Blake Corum in the top spot a season ago before he gets injured in the game against Indiana. He was taken off the field, didn't play another snap that season. He was leading every metric that a running back had led who'd won the Heisman Trophy previous to that. So, a couple of weeks, I think the Heisman Trophy talk will work itself out.
Saturday morning, 11 o'clock Central Time on Fox. It will be Penn State at Ohio State, and this is the time for James Franklin to finally have his biggest win at Penn State. He just hadn't won any of these games, David.
Yeah, and look, what I was saying today is if you find yourself beating all the teams you're supposed to beat, and you're stuck in the Big Ten East, and you're losing to Michigan and OSU every year, and you go on to win a bowl game and have an 11-2 season like they did last year, there are worse things you could be, right? Like there are worse seasons that you could have, certainly.
True.
But if you want to get over that hump, you want to be a college football playoff team, which I know the fans at Penn State, that's what they aspire to, then these are the type of games at some point you need to go on the road and win. What is he, 1-7, maybe 1-8, something like that against the Buckeyes? Hey, Jim Harbaugh for a while was 0-6 or 0-7 against them, right? All it takes is a couple wins. You get that momentum swung in the opposite direction. This would be a signature win for James Franklin to go on the road and beat them, and he has a team that is capable of it. What I'm looking at here, when it comes to Penn State's rush defense, giving up, 72, 74 yards per game, something like that, plus combined with their ability to run the ball, which is always very helpful when you're starting a young quarterback in Drew Aller. They're averaging over 200 yards per game on the ground. How much of that has to do with the schedule they've been playing? Penn State is far more untested right now than the Buckeyes. Buckeyes with a big win over Notre Dame. I think 6 of the 7 games they played have been against unbeaten teams at that point in the schedule. We've seen Kyle McCord, when tasked on a game-winning drive, come back and lead his team to victory. I say all that, but then I look at the win that Penn State had against Iowa. Say what you will about Iowa, and there's plenty to say, especially on the offensive side of the football. They play great defense, and Penn State beat them 31-0, right? So I think this Penn State team is very balanced. I think we're in for a very entertaining and good football game. I wish it was a night game and not at 11 a.m., but one way or another, some good football will be played.
Talking to David Cohn, the co-host of Crane and Company, joining us every Wednesday to talk college football. You mentioned Florida State earlier and kind of the level of football they've played this season. A big game for them this weekend as they take on 16th-ranked Duke. We've seen what Duke did, especially earlier in the season in a Monday night showcase against Clemson, but a really good Duke team with a really good quarterback. What do you make of this game on Saturday for Florida State?
Well, I want to see what Riley Leonard we get at Duke. Yeah. First of all, is he going to play? Second of all, if he does play, is he going to be fully healthy? With that shoulder, is he going to be able to be Riley Leonard? With some of the injuries that he's had, that's my biggest question, because that kid is an absolute gamer, man. I was watching him play against Clemson. Some of the plays that he had, it's like he's going to be playing on Sundays. We're going to say his name for a long time. He's that type of guy. Combined with this Duke defense, guys, that Duke defense is no joke, and that's why I think Mike Elko's name is the first one that gets said every time we're talking about a potential bigger job opening. But but make no mistake, he can win the ACC with this Duke team. I think he is going to need a fully healthy Riley Leonard, though, because Florida State has the capability to beat you in so many different ways. And while I do see plays sometimes from Florida State where I'm like, what in the world is that? That's not championship football. Somehow they come right back. They awe me and shock me with these, like the Keon Coleman catch last weekend. He's an absolute alien, right? And they did all that without Johnny Wilson on the outside, and they're undefeated, right? They've still found themselves undefeated as they sort of continue to improve each week, which a championship team needs to do. This weekend will be very telling. Florida State goes in there, beats them by a couple touchdowns. That's going to say a lot. If they squeak out another win, are we still going to have questions and they still remain unbeaten? We'll see. I hope that we get a very healthy Riley Leonard just so that we can sort of be able to appreciate that matchup as college football fans.
You use that word appreciation. Do we appreciate the job that Gene Chiswick's done for the North Carolina defense enough?
We should. Last season, with the shootout against App State and a lot of the games they found themselves in, it was sort of like an East Coast version of USC, or even my colleague Jake Crane was throwing Washington in there at times. These teams that have unbelievable playmakers at quarterback, but they're just not getting any help from the defense or the run game, this and that. But, yeah, I mean, look, anytime that you have a team where Mack Brown's the head coach, champion at Texas, Gene Chiswick's your DC, champion at Auburn, and you combine having Drake May at quarterback, good things are going to happen.
You mentioned USC with a big game this weekend against Utah, and talking about defense, I guess. Did that loss against Notre Dame tell you anything you didn't know about this USC's defense, or I guess this USC team in general, and what do you expect them to do this weekend against Utah?
I thought if they lost to Notre Dame, it would be because Notre Dame ran the football very well against that defense and controlled the clock and kept Caleb Williams on the sidelines. I was not anticipating 3 interceptions, in the first half, I believe it was. I didn't really see that coming. Maybe we should have, just based off some of some of the offensive success that USC has had so far. At the same time, I'll say, last year, even in some of those games where they were going up against very physical teams, remember, lost to Utah twice last year, even in those cases, they were still putting up 40 points, right? They just kind of got outscored by a team that had Cam Rising on it, which unfortunately we won't be seeing this weekend. Let's sort of take away a little bit from that matchup. That's what I thought we would get if Notre Dame was able to beat them. And honestly, I didn't know what to expect after 3 straight weeks of disappointment from Notre Dame. I mean, I know they ended up winning the Duke game, but keep in mind they're a 4th and 16 scramble from Sam Hartman away from losing those 3 games in a row to OSU, to Duke, and then to the Louisville blowout. So I didn't really know what to expect, but man, what a signature win for Marcus Freeman. Just thoroughly came out and demolished Southern Cal. And if he won that game by 1 point, that would have been good enough, right? We just need a signature win for Marcus Freeman. But it was more than that. He absolutely thrashed them. And say what you will about Southern Cal on defense and sort of their lack of ability on that side of the ball, lack of physicality, that's still the reigning Heisman Trophy winner that came in there. That's still the guy that's getting compared to Patrick Mahomes, who's this supposed number 1 overall pick who apparently is so good he can demand an equity stake and ownership from the NFL team that drafts him or whatever. That's the guy you turned over 3 times in the first half and just absolutely beat down. So very impressive win for Notre Dame. Again, they're not going to make the college football playoff now with those 2 losses, but they can certainly play spoiler, and I would expect nothing less with the type of leadership that you have at quarterback with Sam Hartman and Joe Alt and some of those guys. So now moving forward, USC is still in this thing, but I think we're going to be seeing a little bit more of what we saw against Notre Dame. I mean, hey, they could lose to Utah this week, right? Like I said, they lost to them twice last year because going up against those physical teams is not their strong suit. But you're still going to have Washington on the schedule, Oregon's on the schedule, I believe. So a lot of those teams down the stretch are really going to give USC all they can handle.
David, I think most would say Georgia in the SEC, just ranking 1 through 14, Georgia 1, Bama 2, and there's probably some pretty good separation there. Who would be your third?
Right now, I still think this LSU team is very capable of playing great football, even winning the conference. You know, we circled that Alabama LSU game in the West before the season started, and now for very different reasons, oddly enough, we're circling it again. I had no idea LSU would be this bad on offense. I had no idea.
Double circle game. Throw the record books out for that, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah, look, I mean, triple circle it if you want. I mean, look, get ready. And first of all, that game should be circled
My highlighters run.
calendar.
My Sharpie ran out of ink. I can't triple circle it.
Well, it should, because I have no idea what's going to happen in that game. You know, is Jalen Monroe and the Alabama offense going to be able to step up and score a lot of points against that LSU defense that just has been sort of almost perplexingly bad when you talk about Harold Perkins Jr. and Mason Smith and all those guys. But then, I mean, is anyone playing better football in the country than Jaden Daniels? You talk about being in the front seat for Heisman. The only reason I don't put him front and center right now is because, again, like I said about Shedeur Sanders at Colorado earlier in the season, he's sort of having to put up those numbers for reasons that aren't great, right? He's having to get in these shootouts because LSU can't stop anyone. He's having to do this because they're not really rushing the ball at will. Whereas when Joe Burrow won the Heisman Trophy there, it was like, hey, we're just better than you. And, all the receiver, when Randy Moss's kid's the worst receiver on your team, you're pretty good, you know? Yeah. So anyway, I know we'll get to that one. Both of these teams have plenty of business to handle before we get there, and they'll both have buys the week before they play. But, and look, I feel like I have to bring up Missouri here to answer your question. I mean, just the job that Eli Drinkowitz has done at Missouri is just flat out incredible. I love to see it. You know, we've had the pleasure of interviewing Drinkowitz before, and, you know, being at Missouri, it's tough to have the level of success that the Georgias and Alabamas do inside the SEC, but he's risen to the occasion. I liked them to go on the road and beat Kentucky, and that's what happened. So hats off to him. And again, this Brock Bowers thing at Georgia, let's see how that affects them here as they have to go play a rivalry game in the cocktail party with Florida. They're going to have to play Missouri. They're going to have to go on the road to Tennessee. Obviously, we'll find out more this week about Joe Milton and Tennessee as they go on the road to Tuscaloosa. A lot of questions left to be answered, but it's going to work itself out here nicely in the SEC.
That's a great point about Missouri. I mean, I saw today the Associated Press put out their midseason All-Americans team. Luther Burden, first team. He's been unbelievable this year for Missouri. Brady Cook has also looked really good at quarterback. But, David, what have you made of this Ole Miss team this year? They're 5-1 right now. The only loss coming to an Alabama team that maybe we think a little bit differently about now than we did that game, obviously coming off a loss and then a very ugly game against USF. Well, what have you thought about Lane Kiffin's team this year?
Obviously, very much in the mix here when we talk about the team that could win the SEC, and I mean, they could still come out of the West as well. It wasn't so much even the loss to Alabama as the way they lost it, right? I mean, I thought for sure they'd put up more of an offensive performance. I mean, I've seen Lane lose to Saban when they've scored 45 before against better Alabama defenses, quite frankly. But a little perplexing there. But then again, you turn around, you beat LSU, you're winning the games. What I'm interested to see is, right, we've seen these hot starts from Lane Kiffin. We've seen him start 6-0 or 7-0 or 6-1, and then sort of it falls apart late in the season. That's kind of what I'm looking at is, hey, can Lane Kiffin really put together the type of finish that is required? And especially now that you do have the loss to Alabama, you need some help, right? You still have to handle your business, right? Let other teams go out and beat Alabama and help you. You need, most importantly, to win out. Let's see if Lane Kiffin has the sort of fortitude it takes to win out through this SEC schedule where really anyone can beat you. Let's be honest about this conference. Anyone can beat you any given week. And if you do go win out and you get some help, then you could find yourself in Atlanta.
Absolutely, and still a lot of competitive teams left in that conference schedule for Ole Miss. But, David, thanks so much for joining us. Got another great Saturday, it looks like, with all of these matchups, a bunch of ranked versus ranked matchups, so it should be a lot of fun. But, David, thanks so much, and we'll do it again next week.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, David. David Cohn with us every Wednesday talking college football, and we love visiting with him, and we love this time of year and the first big holiday or really, fun time of the year to celebrate Halloween coming up, but we celebrate it with truck season at All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch. First exit when you cross into Mississippi on Highway 78. You're there at Kraft Goodman Road. Take the exit, and you're at All-Star. And if you're ready for a new Silverado, All-Star Chevrolet, they have them, and they have them by the boatload, a bunch of new vehicles, when all the deals that are perfect for you to save money, and your good credit, it deserves it. Financing as low as zero, no payment for 90 days, 0 in 90 days. That should get your attention, and that could be for you. Plus, you get $1,000 in cash. And All-Star, they have all the Silverados, fall road trips, tailgating, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. The timing could not be better. Come to Olive Branch and drive a new Tahoe or Traverse. And if you want a certified pre-owned Chevy or any pre-owned All-Star, they've got it loaded up. Camaro convertibles, a Lexus, a Suburban. If it's not at All-Star, just ask Jeff and he'll find it for you. Ask Jeff or Kevin about any of the great deals, and they asked me to let you know how much they appreciate everyone that's brought their cars or trucks to sell. You can get a check today for great cash at All-Star. Remember, it's not South Haven, it's not Mount Moriah, it's not Bartlett, Collierville. It's got to be Olive Branch. Find new roads to All-Star Chevy today or go to allstarautogroup.com.
Let's get to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the early lines in both college football and the NFL for the weekend. That's next on Sports Time.
Family Leisure Studio. We are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
How long has it been since you heard the term being overstocked? Well, it's happened at Family Leisure. Yep. That means you get the savings, like select patio sets that are up to 50% off. If you need a play gym, you're in luck because they're also overstocked and start at under $2,000. Pool tables and game room items up to $700 off of in-stock items. Saunas, massage chairs, arcades, even theater seating. Special financing is available with free delivery. Family Leisure is extending sale pricing on all in-stock hot tubs and swim spas. And if you need supplies to close up your pool for the winter, Family Leisure has them up to 30% off. It's been a while since you've heard of an overstock sale, but Family Leisure is right in the middle of one. Huge deals and a huge overstocked inventory. That means great savings for you. It's happening now at Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. If you need a new roof for your home or business, we hope to hear from you and will work hard to earn your business. We are experts and certified in residential and commercial roofing, siding, and gutter installation. I have been serving the Memphis area for over 20 years, and now with two of my sons working with me, we plan to be here for years to come. So if you need a roof, please give us a call. On a personal note, what a great time it is to be a Memphis sports fan. With the Grizzlies and the Redbirds and 901 FC, not to mention Tigers football and basketball, it's going to be a fun year. Thanks to Coach Silverfield and Coach Hardaway and their staffs for their dedication to the student and athletes, the University of Memphis, the City of Memphis, and us fans. Five Ash Roof Services, a proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Country music singer-songwriter Kylie Morgan absolutely loves her Genesis diamond ring.
I got so many compliments as soon as I got the ring and continue to get compliments on it because it looks really pretty on my finger.
Kylie's husband Jay heard folks in the music industry raving about Genesis, but he also did a lot of homework on his own.
When it came to finding the ring, he took it very seriously. He did all the research. I think he knows more about diamonds than any man in the entire world, and that's how he landed on Genesis. He just knew that they were the best.
Jay picked out a stunning, flawless, pear-shaped diamond in an elegant setting. Got the value price Genesis is known for. And now they both tell everyone they meet about the amazing Genesis experience.
When you walk into Genesis, you can just feel the happiness. You know that they're helping find something that symbolizes the love that you have for your partner, and you can feel that as soon as you walk through the door.
It's always been you, and I've always been your wife.
Genesis Diamonds at Poplar and Perkins Extended.
For breakfast, you want something simple and tasty, like the
Wait, Taco Bell's finally putting a breakfast taco on the menu? They've had all the ingredients: fluffy eggs, melty cheese, savory sausage, and a grilled tortilla. Just put them in a taco. Nothing simpler and more tasty than a breakfast taco.
Yeah, you've got a point. Okay, grab Taco Bell's all-new toasted breakfast taco. And rewards members get one free every Tuesday till October 31st, only on the app.
Free breakfast taco? Now you're talking.
Taco Bell breakfast, served until 11 a.m.
Offer valid at participating Taco Bell stores during breakfast hours while supplies last.
Go where the season takes you, and it'll take you to huge savings at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. Be packed with power in 2024 Mitsubishi Mirage G4. 37 MPG combined, $18,755 or $199 a month. Ready for adventure? 2023 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport, $25,595 or $299 a month. Plus 7 seating and top safety pick 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander SUV, $32,185 or $399 a month. And every new Gossett Mitsubishi is equipped with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. You want it, we Gossett. Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, or 24/7 at memphismitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we Gossett at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 84 months, 500 military rebate, loyalty, conquest rebate, 500 G4, RHFO 1918, MSRP 19255, Sport, PU 015-137, MSRP 26595, Outlander RZ 006545, MSRP 33185, includes all rebates and incentives, PF 695, excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month with approved credit, dealer stock only.
The Crazy Coop, America's premier wing destination, has 27 delicious flavors to choose from and counting. Like the Buffalo Ranch, a perfect combo of ranch seasoning with a little kick. Mango Habanero, sweet taste of mango followed by the heat. Or sweet maple bourbon. The taste will remind you of chicken and waffles. And that's just 3 of the amazing 27 chicken wing seasonings that you can get at the Crazy Coop in Bartlett at 7199 Stage Road. And now open the Crazy Coop Express at 1315 Ridgeway off Poplar. Some like it hot. How about the Crazy Sweet Lemon Pepper Hot or Crazy Suicide? Can't take the heat? Get the 4-cheese roasted garlic or barbecue bacon bourbon. Ask about the $9.99 lunch special. Now those are some crazy good prices. The Crazy Coop, 2 locations, 7199 Highway 64 between Appleton and Kirby Whitten, and 1315 Ridgeway off Poplar. Family owned and operated, The Crazy Coop, America's premier wing destination.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. NPD on the scene of a couple of accidents. Watching it really increase just in the last few minutes. 55 south on that bridge coming over from West Memphis. I-40 on the bridge headed towards West Memphis looks clear at the moment. It's increasing with traffic volume like it normally does. This time of the afternoon, 40 eastbound. A little bit early this time up by Sycamore View Road. Clear shot right now on 40 east all the way out to 269. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, they're back open better than ever. 7525 Highway 64. Go by and see them at Weimer's Jewelry. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
We're back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you. We're in our Family Leisure Studios. And Brett, we're only a couple of days. We do have some college football tonight, but we're only a couple of days from Saturday where we really kick off the weekend. We've got Thursday Night Football tomorrow night that you can hear on this station, Jaguars versus Saints, that coverage at 7 o'clock. And while I'm telling you about our coverage of that game, let me just tell you about our entire weekend. Thursday night, like I said, Jaguars at Saints. That coverage will start at 7 p.m. after Reb Talk. Saturday, Ole Miss at Auburn. Coverage starts at 4 o'clock for that 6 p.m. game. And then Sunday, we've got 3 games, a triple header here on Sports 56. We'll start with Bills at Patriots at noon, Chargers at Chiefs at 3, Dolphins at Eagles at 6:30. And then obviously, as always, we'll have Monday Night Football, 49ers at Vikings. But Brett, where do you want to start looking at the weekend and some of these lines?
Let's start with the Tigers. Road favorites down in Birmingham against UAB. And and that line, it's gone up a little as the week's gone on. Now 6.5-point favorite, the Tigers Saturday early at 11 o'clock at UAB.
Yeah, I mean, I always like to go on the road and be a favorite, but That's the Tigers got to come out strong. And this UAB team has shown that they are getting better and better. I heard Trent Dilfer on this morning with Greg and Eli. I thought a great interview that if you didn't hear it, you can go check it out. It's on the website and featured audio. Go check it out. I thought Trent was great and kind of talking about his team, the improvements they've been making, and how much he respects Coach Silverfield and what this Memphis team has done. So 6.5 points right now. I'm really excited about that game on Saturday.
Yeah, for all the build-up last week and, as well as at times the Tigers played in that game, but ultimately to lose, by 10 even, ultimately, 31-21, I thought they played well. It was not soul-crushing. I think people came out of that thinking, okay, played a better team. 2 times this year they've played teams that were better, but they've been better than a lot of teams. Now Vegas is saying they're better than UAB. That same 6.5, that's what Ole Miss favored Saturday night on the Plains against Auburn. And I would love to know the last time Ole Miss was favored anything in a game at Auburn, because they've just had very little success there.
Yeah, and things can get weird on the Plains in Auburn. And like you said, 6.5 is I think Ole Miss, we've talked about Auburn and Hugh Freeze and what he's trying to do with that program. Obviously, his first year probably needs some time to really get things going. But, we'll see what Ole Miss can do. Obviously, on the road in the SEC, anytime is tough. And almost being a touchdown favorite, seems like Vegas likes Ole Miss a lot on Saturday.
It really does seem that way coming off the open date. For Ole Miss. Arkansas, a 6-point favorite at home against Mississippi State. And with the last 5 weeks, they've had, Arkansas, they just want to win by 1. They're not worried about what the point spread is. Just get in the left-hand column.
Yeah, just get that win and they'll feel good. I mean, we've talked about kind of how soul-crushing these, you mentioned soul-crushing a second ago, how soul-crushing these games
Arkansas's
have been.
had it.
They really have, and it hasn't just been one game. It's been week after week after week. We talked about those one-touchdown losses, 7 points or less in pretty much all of these losses outside of the Texas A&M game. So I think back at home against Mississippi State, if they can get this win, I think Arkansas certainly feels a lot better about themselves.
It's as dispirited as I've heard Razorback fans, even through all the travails with Bobby Petrino and John L. Smith and into Brett Bielema. I didn't mean to say Bert, I really didn't. Into Brett Bielema and then Chad Morris, because after that win over Penn State in the Tampa Bowl, it really looked like Arkansas found it, Mr. Right guy.
Yeah.
And Hunter Yurchek had, nailed it with the basketball hire, and Eric Musselman got the right guy. And now they're really, I can't imagine what the tone will be if it's a home loss to Mississippi State. I know there's a lot of people complaining about the schedule, and it has been brutal, and it was all on the road. You can call that A&M game. You can designate that a home game all you want. But when you play Texas A&M in Texas, that's not a home game.
No, you're right about that, and so they just need a win. They just need to get back in that win column, and hopefully that can happen on Saturday.
Bama 9-point favorite over Tennessee, and I've said, and I think kind of first team to around 21, 22, 23 should go a long way.
Yeah,
so for Bama to cover,
Yeah.
if I'm right on, if they let's even say 24 to cover that 9 points, that's holding Tennessee really down.
It really is. I mean, that seems like a massive number. Either way, if it was Tennessee by that much or if it was Alabama by 9, it seems like a lot of points. I'm excited to talk to Pat Smith here in about 30 minutes, less than 30 minutes, and kind of hear what he thinks about this game. But man, 9 points seems like a lot, especially after Tennessee got that win last week.
Before we talk NFL, some other college football top 25, huge point spreads. OU 19 over UCF in Norman on Saturday morning. Oregon 20 over Washington State. Tulane 20 over North Texas. North Carolina 23.5 over Virginia. Michigan 24 at Michigan State.
That's crazy. 24.5-point favorite on the road in a rivalry game, Brett. That's unheard of.
I would too, and I've got that one. I don't know if I've got 3 circles around it like David Cohn had, but I've got it circled potentially for Friday afternoon. What grabs you in the NFL?
Oh, well, I mean, obviously you look around in the NFL, and I think this game tomorrow night, it kicks off with Thursday Night Football, 1-point line right
Basically
now.
pick 'em.
Basically a pick 'em, and we'll see Trevor Lawrence obviously dealing with an injury, and we'll see if he's able to go tomorrow or not, and that could change a lot. I mean, if Trevor Lawrence isn't able to go tomorrow night, the New Orleans Saints...
Short week, hurt.
And while New Orleans has struggled, I mean, they've got a ton of athletes, a ton of playmakers on that team. Some of the other games that kind of jump out at me, Cleveland, a 3-point favorite over the Colts. Obviously, the news coming out today that Anthony Richardson 100% is done for the season, is going to have surgery.
Gosh, he just hadn't played a lot of football, has he? And he can't help it.
He can't, and it's sad. I really enjoyed watching him play this season as a rookie, but we won't get to see him anymore, and hopefully he can come back next year. But they've got a great backup in Gardner Minshew. Obviously, Cleveland feeling pretty good about themselves with that defense they have and that win over the 49ers. But those are probably the 2 biggest ones that jump out to me. What about you in the NFL?
I think the game of the day on Sundays, Lions at Ravens. Yeah, I said it. Detroit Lions, 5-1 at 4-2. Baltimore, good luck to the Lions defense chasing Lamar around all day, but also good luck to Baltimore. You could make a case the steadiest quarterback in the NFL this year has been Jared Goff.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And kind of we talk about quarterbacks in the NFL and really in college as well, but he's just not a flashy quarterback. He's not going to, scramble around and roll out of the pocket or, even scramble to pick up yards. So he's not really
kind
flashy.
Kind of a reliable Kirk Cousins,
Just a reliable guy that he's going to get the job done.
All right, let's go Matt Stafford. That's a better comparison in Detroit.
I think so. Matt Stafford. And really, that's the comparison everyone's making is you basically traded those 2 guys to each other, and really you got the same quarterback in both of them.
You really did.
But it maybe worked out better for both of them, yeah.
Goff got to a Super Bowl. Matt Stafford got to one and won it with the Rams. But just so, the Lions, to be talking about them kind of this kindly to them at this time of year, they're not used to. Usually the season's over by now for Detroit.
Yeah, and I think, we talked to Bo yesterday, and he said you kind of got to look at the opponents they've beaten this past couple weeks, but I feel like a lot of people, after all of the off-season hype for this Lions team, kind of forgot about them after they lost to the Seahawks. And, there was that Week 2 loss right after beating the Chiefs, and it really felt like everybody was like, wow, the Lions beat the Chiefs. They're for real this year. And then the next Sunday they lose to the Seahawks, and everyone goes, okay, they're not back. This is the Lions that we've gotten used to over the past 20 years. They're not going to be very good this year, and now they're back, 1 loss, and it's a fun team to watch.
And as opposed to college, look, whatever teams they've defeated, it's NFL teams.
Exactly.
They're not playing Morehead State.
Brett, what you always like to say is they get a paycheck every Tuesday morning as well.
They sure do.
These guys
Everybody gets paid.
These guys are good players.
They're in the
NFL
of teams
for the
in college get paid too.
Well, now we might have to change that, because
and always have.
Right, exactly. I think this Lions team is really looking to kind of show people what they're about, and a win this weekend against the Ravens would do a lot to, I think, put more attention on what the Lions have been doing these last couple weeks.
It will, and I'm pulling for Detroit again. Let me clarify. Coach of the year was Dan Campbell. I did not pick Brandon Staley.
Yes, and funny enough, you almost just cut out there, Brett. So it looked like the universe wanted people to still think that you were.
Oh, did I? Let me repeat it. I picked Dan Campbell as my coach of the year.
There you go.
Not Brandon Staley.
There you go. What about this one? The Sunday night football game. I know a lot of people are excited about this one. Dolphins on the road against the Eagles. We know the Eagles, they added Julio Jones. A lot of people thinking maybe he could help with their red zone offense because it seems like they get down to the red zone and all they've got is the tush push. Right now, Eagles a 2.5-point favorite at home. That line's a little interesting.
Well, he might can help them with packages like that, but I don't think he helps them.
Not much outside of that.
No, I I just don't think he's got much left. I don't want to criticize just one of the great players
Absolutely. He's been unbelievable. But that should be a good game on Sunday, and then we'll wrap it up on Monday. 49ers, another game for them. They go on the road, and they're a touchdown favorite. Last time it didn't really work out for them. Last week against the Browns. We'll see if things can change this week against the Vikings. But let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch us daily with live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
O'Reilly Auto Parts' new Brake Best Select Pro brand raises the bar for the best aftermarket domestic brake pads and rotors available. For vehicle-specific friction formulations, Quiet-Tech noise-canceling shims, and stainless steel hardware, choose Brake Best Select Pro. Professional-grade brakes from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who specialize in saving the day and for the ones who've mastered the art of keeping business moving. We offer industrial-grade supplies for every industry with same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders, all backed by real people ready to help. So you can get the right answers and products right when you need them. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings & Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings & Grill is family-friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings & Grill.
All 36-month lease, $650 acquisition fee, Forte PE 678 6055, MSRP 21610, Nero P501 7859, MSRP 41090, EV6 P501 7859, MSRP 49687. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 10/31/23 with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
Hey, Jeff Allen, the weather's getting cooler, but the deals keep on getting hotter at Gossett Kia South. What you got going on, Jeff?
Only the best deals you'll find on your new Kia, Randy. I've got 41 MPG Highway in a new 2023 Kia Forte LXS, $229 a month, $29.99 do it signing. I've got EV action with a 2023 Nero EV Win SUV, 253 miles of EPA estimated range, $269 a month, $49.99 do it signing. And a 2023 Kia EV6 Win, 134 city, 101 highway MPGE, $399 a month, $49.99 do it signing. All 36-month lease.
Plus a free charger with your EV purchase and Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand.
It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, Brett, you kind of teased your big number to me during the break, and I'm really excited to hear it. So if you'd like, I want to hear your big number.
I'll go first, and I don't know whether it should be 3 or 10, but in the last 10 years, Arkansas has only defeated Mississippi State 3 times.
Whoa.
State's won 7 out of the last 10. And the Arkansas wins, and there have been a lot of close Mississippi State wins in there, but 2 of the 3 wins for Arkansas one was by 3 and another one was by 7. And I say that going back to 2 years ago after the wild Ole Miss win, 52-51 over Arkansas in Oxford. A prominent Arkansas media member, Danny West, he tweeted that Arkansas should never, ever lose in anything to the Mississippi schools.
Anything.
How ludicrous.
That's crazy, Brett.
I mean, in that time, both State and Ole Miss won national baseball championships.
Yeah. That's a crazy thing to say.
Again, ever. That's a really long time.
That's a really long time. And in anything. That's a lot of different sports to put in there.
And I think it just makes for more pressure into this game. And we've just talked the point spreads. Arkansas a pretty big home favorite over Mississippi State. And that kind of thinking is again just ludicrous to think there's any kind of separation, except for maybe basketball. And I think State beat Arkansas last year in basketball.
I can't remember. I'd have to pull it up. But you might be right.
I would too.
But I mean,
but it's not far fetched to think that they did.
No, that was a good Mississippi State basketball team last year. So I wouldn't put it past them at all. But that's just crazy. I mean, any sport, forever, for eternity, Arkansas shouldn't lose to Mississippi school is just, I mean, that's insane to say.
And now having lost 7 out of 10 to one of the 2 he was talking about.
Sure did, Brett. Last year, the only time Arkansas and Mississippi State played last year,
I thought so.
Arkansas lost 70-64. So
yeah,
that track record's not looking very
ever's
good.
a really long time.
It's a really, really long time. My big number is 10. Today we got announced the finalists for Gold Gloves in Major League Baseball. Nolan Arenado not found on the finalist list at third base. That means this year will be the first in 10 years that Nolan Arenado has not won a Gold Glove at third base.
He didn't have a good year.
He didn't have a good year.
He really did. He didn't defensively. He didn't offensively. Nor did Paul Goldschmidt. And those two, that's got to be opening bid next year for the Cardinals. I mean, right now, for Goldschmidt, Arenado, anywhere from $295 to $310, they have to bat. Anywhere for both of them, home runs, 25 to 35 home runs, wouldn't you say?
I would.
RBI,
so.
90 to 120.
Yeah, I think that's right there around it. Yeah,
you got to have that before you leave for Jupiter.
Yes, you do. And the interesting thing about it is I think he had a better second half of the season fielding. He still wasn't great. Had a better second half of the season, but Brett, second half of the season, nobody's watching the Cardinals. I mean, they're all already out. If you're having a good season, who cares? I mean, it was the first half of the season when games really mattered. It was a really, really bad year for Nolan Arenado, both offensively and defensively.
I don't think that Paul Goldschmidt had the year at first base defensively, and that hurt Arenado on digging out some of those throws. When he makes that play, in the gap between third and short, and pivots and fires, and it's a little low. Goldschmidt was digging out everything 2 years ago. He wasn't this year.
Yeah, and this is kind of the biggest number that jumps off to me. So this on Baseball Reference, the total fielding runs above average per 1,200 innings. This is the number of runs above.
Read that again. Read the fine print.
The total fielding runs above average per 1,200 innings. This is the number of runs above or below average the fielder was worth per 1,200 innings. It combines a lot of things together. But when you look at it, it's basically...
I need a slide rule to figure this
how
out.
many runs does he save per attempt at his position? Ever since he started in the league, 11, 13, 2, 0, 9, 15, 17, 25, 7, 18. This season, Brett, negative 12. So
it was really tragic.
It was really bad in terms of runs above average. And if you take away the per 1,200 innings, all of that, just his regular fielding runs above average was negative 11 this year. So just not a good year for him.
Under the old title of you got to give to get.
Yeah.
Would it stun you if Goldschmidt, Arenado were in deal talks over the offseason?
No, I don't think it would stun me.
Because to get you got to give up something.
Yeah, and I mean the way you've heard some of the rumblings and murmurings of in St. Louis, it sounds like there are some people that kind of just want to tear it all down and kind of rebuild. And
I think it's time.
I think it's time, and you're not going to rebuild with those two.
Guys. Where that leaves Oliver Marmol next year. He goes out and wins 72 again.
Yeah, it does. And we're both sitting here after June talking about we can't watch any more Cardinal baseball. I mean,
yeah, and he's not the guy.
Yeah. Also, something interesting this year about Nolan Arenado: only 128 games. And so I was looking earlier. I didn't look at.
Didn't realize that.
I didn't even look at the amount of games played, but I was looking at years previous, and I'm seeing 12 errors, 11 errors, 14 errors. Well, then I look at the number of games. 12 errors came in 131 games. 11 errors came in 155 games. 14 errors came in 152 games. 9 errors in 128 games is a lot of errors when you look at only playing 128 games. So it just wasn't a good year for them. I wouldn't be surprised. I want to talk later when we have some more time during what's trending. Some of the rumors coming out of San Diego that maybe Juan Soto could be on the move this offseason. So, I mean, you could see some big-time moves in Major League Baseball. We obviously know Shohei's a free agent, and that's going to be a lot of the talk of the offseason. But you could see some things go down, and you could see some things certainly involving the Cardinals, I think. But
and we didn't have any hot stove last year.
No,
so I hope we do have some.
It was quiet as could be. Yeah,
the Cardinals could be central to it, and it wouldn't crush me if it had to move away from Arenado or Goldschmidt.
No, it wouldn't at all for me either. But that'll do it for our second hour. Let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we're going to go down to Jocks in Birmingham, talk to Pat Smith the day on Saturday, the day of football on Saturday. Memphis at UAB, third Saturday in October, and Ole Miss at Auburn. We'll get to all of that next on Sports Time.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, I want to talk about our seasoning and sauce today. Our sauce is a great blend of sweet, mustard, and vinegar. It's good on so many items other than barbecue. It's good on pizza. People use it in lieu of ketchup. But our seasoning is the original dry rub, created by my father using a mixture of Greek and Cajun spices. People think our sauce and seasoning are good just during the grilling season. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's good year-round. Our seasoning is good on fish, chicken, deviled eggs, corn on the cob, French fries. People even put a dash in a Bloody Mary. To get a complete list of all of our recipes using our products, go to hogsfly.com, click recipes, and you'll see 50 wonderful items and dishes. And Brett, our sauce and seasoning is available at most grocery stores, and if they don't have it, please remind your grocer to stock it. And our slaw is also available at most Kroger stores.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Roofs, roofs, and more roofs. Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair simply because they don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance claims for policyholders each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. Call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates, consultation, and claim repairs. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, diagnosing problems, and estimating is second to none, commercial and residential. Residential. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. All you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and Mulehide with labor warranties up to 50 years on all of our jobs. Metro Builders provides roof repairs across the Mid-South. Call Metro Builders to schedule your inspection free. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
Discover, this is Danny.
Hi, it's Jen Coolidge. I just want to thank you for making me feel so special. I earned cash back on debit for my dinner party groceries.
That's great. But with Discover Cashback Debit, we give everyone cash back on everyday purchases. Anything else I can help you with?
Are you hungry? 'Cause everyone left after the asparagus sorbet.
Introducing Discover Cashback Debit, a checking account with cash back. It pays to Discover. Eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashback debit. Discover Bank, member FDIC.
Sports and blinds, they just go together. And right now, all Sports 56 listeners get $50 off any order at Blinds Etc. South. Real wood, 3.5 to 4.5 inch plantation shutters made in the Mid-South are always affordable at Blinds Etc. South. And now get $50 off your order. Get your free in-home consultation at 901-681-0225 or go to blindsetceteraSouthLLC.com. Upgrade your home with custom-made plantation shutters and window treatments from Blinds Etc. South.
Looking for your next car? Give Car Corner a try. Car Corner, located at 2653 Mount Moriah. They specialize in cars under $15,000. Bad credit? No problem at Car Corner. CarCornerMemphis.com. That's CarCornerMemphis.com. They even have cash cars under $7,000. That's Car Corner at 2653 Mount Moriah. CarCornerMemphis.com. Look for the building with the teal green roof.
Hi, this is Lauren Choate with Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing. Choate's is offering some amazing specials for this month only. If you're considering upgrading your furnace before the cold weather comes, Choate's is offering $1,000 off a new Carrier furnace. If you don't need a new furnace, Choate's is now offering its early bird $60 furnace tune-up. This 22-point tune-up includes a free carbon monoxide test and heat exchanger inspection. And Choate's is your indoor air quality expert. For the best quality air for you and your family, it's recommended to have your air ducts cleaned every 8 years. This month only, Choate's will install a free UV light system when you get your air ducts cleaned, a $500 value. Call us at 347-8086 to take advantage of these amazing deals. So, turn to the experts with Choate's, and remember, let our family serve your family.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It's still pretty crowded right now on 240 East from Mill Branch all the way out to 385 Billmorris Parkway. That still looks pretty good as you head out towards Collierville. Here's what we see. Heavy and slow traffic now. 40 East at times just trying to get up past Sycamore View Road. It remains heavy all the way out into Fayette County. Traffic to the south is just now starting to pick up in the last 15-20 minutes. 55 south headed down through DeSoto County. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry. They're back open better than ever. Go by and see David and his family at Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Oh, yeah. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn, Boot & Jean Company in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Well, it's a busy weekend of college football in the state of Alabama. And joining us to talk about this weekend, some of those teams down in Alabama, Pat Smith from Jocks joins us now. Pat, thanks so much for joining us. I want to start off with our hometown Tigers here in Memphis, traveling down to Birmingham to take on UAB. We're about halfway through the season. What have you made of Trent Dilfer in his first year at UAB?
Well, I'll tell you, I will tell you, the Georgia game really turned a lot of heads. Yeah, UAB lost to the Georgia Bulldogs, but what they were able to do between the hedges in Athens is something that a lot of teams of the last 3 years have been unable to do, I should say, and that is move the football effectively. And Trent Dilfer's offense, it's complex. You've got a former NFL Super Bowl winning quarterback who coached at a high school level, but he has brought a different type of offense. He's got Alex Mortensen, who is his offensive coordinator, who was at Alabama for many years. And they have brought something to the table that is brand new. And the offense is exciting, and a lot of people are fired up about that. The defense has taken a step back this year, not as good as it has been in years past, so that's been frustrating. But overall, the town is excited. Of course, we've got the new stadium in downtown Birmingham, a lot of positives going on with this team. So Memphis, I think about a 4 or 5 point favorite, Brett. I think that's right for the game on Saturday. But for the long haul, I think the UAB fan base, they're very impressed with year one. Not a lot of wins yet, but the schedule was pretty tough, but they like what they've seen so far.
No place built better for the day in college football that the state of Alabama is going to have than you guys at Jocks and Gals. It works so hard at Jocks and your audience. Tigers UAB at 11, third Saturday in October at 2:30 in T-Town, and then on the Plains Saturday night, Auburn and Ole Miss. And I know y'all have it covered. I mean, this is what you live for.
Oh, there's no doubt. And don't forget about last night. We had Tuesday night Conference USA in Jacksonville, Alabama, where Rich Rodriguez is now like 15-4, 15-6 since he's taken over the Gamecock program. So yeah, it's a good time to be in the state of Alabama. But no, you're right, Brett. It's a magical Saturday. I'm just glad that we're not talking about the fourth Saturday in October. We're old school like that. We like the fact that game's played on the third Saturday. But yeah, I mean, so much is going to be talked about come Monday, whether it's Alabama really is still in the mix to get back to Atlanta, or is Tennessee still in it now with Brock Bowers out? Or are they going to be a team to be reckoned with in the East? And can Auburn finally win a game in the SEC under Hugh Freeze? And can Lane Kiffin stop tweeting articles in Birmingham about whether he should be fired if he doesn't beat, or does he actually go out there and, coach a football game? So, I mean, it's there's so many storylines that we're going to get into on Monday.
There's a lot to sort out. I mean, the first-year head coach story of a number one draft pick in Trent Dilfer, third Saturday, Lane Kiffin and all that went down last year with Auburn. With the first game of the day, the quarterback play in that game, that may be the better quarterback matchup of the three games all day.
I think you're right. I mean, I can tell you that Zebo, he's done a fantastic job. When he transferred last year from Baylor to UAB, and we got a little bit of look, but let's just be honest, it was the fact that it took Trent Dilfer coming in. As soon as Trent Dilfer, one of the first meetings he had was with him, and he said, "Look, you're not going anywhere. I mean, you're my quarterback. You're exciting," and he has performed really well. A little banged up the last few weeks, but
got hit hard by Texas San Antonio.
Yeah, but I will tell you, he is a really special talent. I had an opportunity to have him in studio for about an hour. Sharp young man, very sharp. And so you could tell whatever Trent Dilfer is giving him in that quarterback room, he can handle it mentally. It's just physically, doing what he needs to do to be that type of quarterback. But they're excited about him, no doubt.
When you mentioned the excitement around this UAB program after that Georgia game, and that you said a lot of people kind of saw something there from this UAB team, but when Trent Dilfer was hired, I mean, what was the excitement like to bring him into UAB? Because, I mean, you think back over the last 5 or 6 years, it has been a roller coaster for UAB football, with them shutting down for a year, coming back, and now a guy like Trent Dilfer, who's very nationally known, coming in. I mean, what has the excitement around this program been since hiring him?
Oh, it's been tremendous. A lot of people, it was kind of out in left field. Credit Mark Ingram, the athletics director at UAB. He wanted to go the unconventional route. You always talk about thinking outside the box, and that's exactly what he did. And so not only has he been able to bring that excitement, but he's brought some really good young coaches. I mentioned Alex Mortensen. He is not going to be at UAB long. I'm here to tell you guys. Of course, everyone knows his father, longtime NFL analyst at ESPN, who recently retired. I was told Alex Mortensen years ago when he was over at Samford University here in Birmingham, he was calling some plays, said, keep your eye on him. Then he ended up at Alabama as a graduate assistant, and then he's been an analyst for years working under Nick Saban. And then when Dilfer got the job at UAB, he immediately plucked him out to be the OC at UAB. He's a bright young star in the college game, and that's another reason why folks are excited about what not only Trent Dilfer brings to the table, but some other assistants on that staff. So it's a really good young group. They're going to take their growing pains here for probably a couple seasons.
Sure.
But, with NIL and everything else that's involved in college football, UAB feels confident that they can compete at the highest level in the American.
If Ole Miss wins Saturday night, it would be 3 straight 6-1 starts for Ole Miss. They haven't done that since John Vaught did it late 50s, early 60s, like 57 through 62. He did that or more every single year. How seriously do you think people take Ole Miss this year?
It's a great question, Brett. And the reason I'm hesitant to say anything or had to think about it, it's because we're in a situation in this state that we have not been in a very long time. And that is, both programs, talking about Alabama and Auburn, at times have really struggled. And I know that's weird saying that about Alabama, who's only lost one game, but you can turn the TV on every week and, when you're down by 3 points or up by 3 points over Arkansas, when you had an 18-point lead at home, there's a lot of hand-wringing going on. And let's just face it, this offense that Auburn has put together this year, it is historically bad. We're talking about 2012 bad when Auburn went 0-8 in the SEC. It was the first time over the weekend against Power 5 opponents that an Auburn quarterback has thrown for 100 yards. It's crazy, but that's what you're dealing with. So I'm not really saying that it's the disrespect for Ole Miss and what they're able to come over and do. It's just the fact that Auburn has played so poorly and they have not been competitive like everyone thought they could be. A win against Ole Miss would be huge. Everyone is patient with Hugh Freeze. They understand that it's a work in progress, but a lot of people believe the talent that was brought in from the transfer portal, that those guys would be able to maybe navigate a 6-6, 7-5. Heck, you win a game here or there at Jordan-Hare like an Ole Miss, then you could be talking about 8 wins. So it would be huge on that respect. I don't think it's any disrespect for Ole Miss because, as we both know, Brett, I think Ole Miss is, 3 out of their last 20 at Jordan-Hare, something like that.
Wow.
It's been a very tough place for the Rebels to win. So,
only 2 in the 21st century. Wow. They got the one in the first game against Tuberville in '99, but only 2 wins in the 21st century. Eli Manning and Chad Kelly winning quarterbacks.
Yeah, I was going to say the last win at Auburn, I believe Hugh Freeze was on the other sideline for Ole Miss.
He was head coach
when they got
and that year won at Tuscaloosa and at Jordan-Hare.
Yeah, he did the Quinella there. But it's a situation where Auburn is looking at this as a real opportunity. They got a couple of guys back on the defensive side of the ball, former Ole Miss transfer who had the tightrope ankle surgery about a month ago. He's due back in the secondary, and they got a couple other guys that are due back from injury. But the bottom line is it's the offense. They have not been able to run the ball as effectively as they did at the beginning of the season. They can't throw it. So, if Pete Golding shows up and gets off the bus, I think Ole Miss will be able to kind of hamper them and do what they can. But we all know that crowd at Jordan-Hare, it's a crazy place, Brett. And if you get into the fourth quarter and you're in a close game against those guys, just all bets are off. Anything can happen.
Well, you mentioned kind of the quarterback play. What have you thought of Peyton Thorne in his first year with Auburn? And I guess same with Robbie Ashford, who's seen some looks, more run plays for him. But what have you thought of these 2 quarterbacks through 6 games?
Poor for both of them. And, and just being honest, Peyton Thorne was brought in because he was supposed to be, bringing competition. Same reason why Alabama brought in a Tyler Buckner from Notre Dame. They were supposed to push the envelope. Well, the issue is that when Peyton Thorne came in, he was the best quarterback that understood the type of system that Hugh Freeze wanted to run. The problem for Peyton Thorne is that Auburn still does not have those playmakers on the outside, and the offensive line has been porous. So that is a bad combination because he's looking out to try to throw to somebody. Nobody's open, or you get somebody in your face, and he doesn't have time to try to throw the ball. So he's actually been a more effective runner this year than he has been a passer. And Robbie Ashford, he's a freak athlete. He's a better baseball player, honestly, than he is a football player. I covered him 4 years in high school here in Birmingham, and he was outstanding at Hoover High School. And, he went out to Oregon. he played baseball for the Oregon Duck baseball team as an outfielder. And also, he's one of the backup quarterbacks, and he decided, hey, I wanted to come back home. Went down to Auburn, and you can see him when he runs the football. He's a very special talent. The problem is that he just cannot run the type of offense that Hugh Freeze needs and wants to run. And so you're kind of hampered with those two guys being your first two signal callers. They're not going to hand it over to Holden Garner, who's their third-string quarterback. So it's been disappointing from a quarterback play standpoint, but we've been kind of used to that outside of UAB, having some poor quarterback play in the state of Alabama.
Pat, how come some, mostly in Auburn, more fan site type media, why won't they just accept Lane Kiffin stayed at Ole Miss, he didn't take the Auburn job?
Well, I suppose you're probably referring to the AL.com article that came out today, basically saying that, if Lane Kiffin doesn't beat Auburn this weekend, he should just resign from his head coaching position at Ole Miss. I don't know, Brett. That's one of those situations where everybody in the state of Alabama, I guess it's kind of like when somebody makes fun of your crazy uncle inside the family, everybody laughs about it. And then when somebody outside the family makes fun of your crazy uncle, then you want to fight them. I guess it's when they were looking at trying to hire Lane Kiffin, everybody was all on board. And then when all of a sudden Lane Kiffin decides to stay at Ole Miss and, get the things that he wanted and needed to build a program in Oxford, then all of a sudden everybody's like, well, we didn't want him anyway, just send him to the house. So this will be interesting if he is able, just like the Vegas prognosticators are saying, that Ole Miss is 6.5 points better than Auburn, whether they're 1 point or 6 points better than Auburn. If he walks out of there with a win, not only will that propel Ole Miss for the rest of the season potentially for what they want to do long term, but it's going to leave a lot of Auburn people with probably kind of a weird taste in their mouth, figuring out, okay, did we really go the right route? By getting Hugh Freeze as opposed to
and they don't
maybe
play
going
again
like
for a
Kiffin.
while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it really will be. It will be extremely fascinating to see how that Auburn fan base will react to that.
Pat Smith from Jocks joining us now, talking about Alabama and Ole Miss, also UAB with that big game this weekend against the Tigers. Pat, switching over to Alabama, obviously a big game this weekend against Tennessee, and we know earlier in the season the loss against Texas and then the poor performance against USF the following week. What have you seen from this Alabama team since then as they've played a couple of games in conference?
It's been their defense. The defense is really what we thought they were going to be, and as advertised, there were two propaganda pieces that were put out in fall camp. One is Kevin Steele is going to come back, and it's going to be a nasty defense. The defensive front's going to get after you. Secondary is going to be buttoned up. Linebackers are going to come along. They'll take a little bit of time, but this is going to be the defense that we should have had the last 3 seasons. That has lived up to the preseason. The other was the fact that Alabama's offense was going to play bully ball, and you were going to be able to run the football. Well, you had 103 yards rushing in the third quarter against Arkansas, and then all of a sudden Tommy Rees decides, hey, we're going to start throwing the ball down the field like it's a flag football game, and then Milroe doesn't hit anybody, then all of a sudden it's a 3-point game. So that did not live up to the way it's supposed to. But back to your better numbers right now than Will Anderson Jr. did at this time last year. So those guys are getting after it on the defensive side. And that is, with Pete Golding there, whether it was the personnel or whether it was his calls, for Alabama to put pressures on the quarterback the last couple of years, it had to be brought from blitzes, from packages from the outside. When you can get the pressure from the interior, as Brett has seen for many years like I have, when you can do that, that just opens up the aggressiveness that your guys in the secondary can have, especially when you're playing press coverage. And so getting that push up front has been huge for them. And, that's going to be key for them against Tennessee. Tennessee runs the ball better than anybody in the conference. And if Alabama can hold their own in the gaps and be able to put pressure when Milton tries to pass, then Alabama feels pretty good about their chances. Now, on the other side of the ball, can Jalen Milroe make the right decisions? And can Alabama